The California sun beat down on Naval Amphibious Base Coronado as 200 family members filled the wooden bleachers overlooking the Pacific. The ceremony area had been set up on the beach, the same beach where these graduates had crawled through sand, frozen in surf torture, and questioned whether they had what it took to earn the trident. Commander Jack Brennan stood at attention on the platform, his dress whites crisp despite the heat. 58 years old, 35 years of service, and he'd seen hundreds of Bud/S graduations. But this one was different. This one made his jaw tight. 42 graduates stood in formation before him, 40 men and 2 women. Sarah Coleman stood in the third row, her small frame somehow managing to project absolute stillness. 5'2", 115 pounds, with dark hair pulled back regulation tight. She didn't fidget, didn't look around, just stared straight ahead with eyes the color of winter steel. Brennan had seen her file. 27 years old, degree in mechanical engineering from MIT, perfect scores on every physical test, top marks in weapons qualification, navigation, demolitions. But numbers on paper didn't mean a damn thing when bullets started flying. The base commander droned through his speech about honor and sacrifice. Brennan barely listened. His mind was 13 years in the past. Afghanistan, Helmand Province. Master Chief William Coleman leading his SEAL team through a village at 0300 hours. Intelligence said a Russian arms dealer named Dmitry Volkov was meeting with Taliban leadership. Get in, gather intel, get out. Clean and simple. Except someone had leaked the operation. The ambush killed all 6 SEALs. Coleman died last, buying his teammates seconds they couldn't use. Brennan had listened to the whole thing over comms, helpless, 700 miles away at Bagram. William Coleman's daughter had been 14 then. Now she stood here wearing his legacy like armor. Sarah Elizabeth Coleman, the base commander called. She stepped forward, took the trident from his hands, the golden eagle clutching an anchor, trident, and flintlock pistol, the symbol that separated the ordinary from the elite. Her fingers closed around it. For just a moment, half a second, her eyes flicked to the crowd. Brennan followed her gaze. An elderly man in the front row, late 70s, wearing a faded UDT ball cap. Chief Petty Officer Robert Coleman, Vietnam, Underwater Demolition Team 12. The grandfather who'd raised her after her father died. The old man's face was wet with tears. Sarah's expression didn't change. She pinned the trident to her uniform, saluted, and returned to formation. Brennan felt something uncomfortable twist in his chest. Respect, maybe, or worry, or both. After the ceremony, families swarmed the graduates. Brennan hung back, watching. The old man embraced his granddaughter. She bent down. Even at 78, Robert Coleman stood barely 5'6", and let him hold her. The old SEAL was sobbing openly now. Sarah whispered something in his ear. He nodded, pulled back, and touched the trident on her chest. Commander Brennan. He turned. Captain Richards, the base commander, stood with his arms crossed. Sir, I'm assigning Coleman to your team, SEAL Team 5. Brennan kept his face neutral. Sir, with respect, I know your concerns. I've read your reports. You think women don't belong in combat units. Richard's tone wasn't accusatory, just factual. You have a chance to prove yourself right, or wrong. She'll get someone killed, sir. Then it's your job to make sure she doesn't. Richard stepped closer, lowered his voice. I also know you were the tactical commander when her father died. She doesn't know that, yet. So you've got a choice, Jack. You can wash her out, send her packing, prove she doesn't belong. Or you can train her the way you'd train any SEAL. Give her a real shot. Brennan said nothing. Pentagon's watching this one, Richards continued. Social experiment, they're calling it. Women in special operations. Coleman passes or fails on her own merit, but it better be her merit, not your bias. Clear? Crystal, sir. Richards walked away. Brennan looked back at the crowd. Sarah Coleman stood alone now, her grandfather having left. She was staring at the ocean, trident gleaming in the sun. Then she turned, and her eyes locked with his across 50 yards of sand. She knew who he was. She had to. The question was whether she knew what he'd done. 2 weeks later, Sarah reported to the SEAL Team 5 compound. The place looked like every military base she'd ever seen. Low buildings, perfect 90-degree angles, everything painted the same shade of beige. A group of men in PT gear ran past, their boots hitting pavement in synchronized rhythm. She found Building 7, Team Briefing Room, 0800 hours. She was 15 minutes early. The room was empty. Sarah sat in the back row, set her go bag on the floor, and waited. At 07:55, the door banged open. 12 men filed in, talking, laughing, the easy camaraderie of operators who'd bled together. They wore khaki uniforms, tridents on their chests. They saw her and went quiet. A Latino man in his early 30s, Petty Officer Rodriguez, according to his name tape, stopped. Lost? Petty Officer Sarah Coleman, reporting as ordered. The silence stretched. "You're shitting me," someone muttered. At exactly 0800, Commander Brennan entered. The men snapped to attention. Sarah stood. "Seats," Brennan said. Everyone sat. Sarah noticed she was the only one in the back row. The 12 men had clustered in the front half of the room, leaving an empty buffer zone around her. Brennan moved to the front, pulled down a projection screen. New assignment, Alaska. Joint training exercise with the Rangers. 2 weeks. Survival qualification and advanced weapons testing. He clicked a remote. An image appeared. Brutal mountain terrain covered in snow. Denali Range, February. Average temperature, -20. We'll be operating above 8,000 feet, testing new cold weather gear, running navigation drills, and conducting long-range shooting qualifications. A stocky man with a shaved head, Jenkins from his name tape, raised his hand. "Sir, is this because of—" He glanced back at Sarah. "The new additions?" "This is because the Navy wants data," Brennan said flatly. "We're going to give them data." "Coleman." She stood. "Sir, you qualified expert marksman at BUD/S." "Yes, sir." "How many rounds downrange?" "Approximately 40,000, sir, including personal training before enlistment." Someone whistled low. "Your grandfather was UDT," Brennan continued, "explosives specialist." "Yes, sir." "You grew up on a ranch, Montana?" "Wyoming, sir, 50 miles from the nearest town." Brennan studied her. "You hunt?" "Since I was 8, sir. Elk, mostly. Some bear." "Weapon of choice?" "Remington 700, 308 Winchester. My grandfather's rifle." "Effective range?" "I've made confirmed kills at 1,100 yards, sir." The room went very quiet. 1,100 yards, over half a mile, was serious shooting, even for SEALs. Brennan's expression didn't change. "Alaska's going to test that. Dismiss. We leave at 600 tomorrow. Full cold weather kit. Check your gear twice." The men filed out. Sarah grabbed her bag, but Brennan's voice stopped her. "Coleman, stay." The door closed. They were alone. Brennan crossed his arms. "You know who I am." It wasn't a question. "Yes, sir. Your father served under me, indirectly. Different command structure, but I was tactical overwatch for his operation in Helmand." "I know, sir." "You blame me for his death." Sarah met his eyes. "No, sir." "Don't lie to me, petty officer." "I'm not, sir. My father knew the risks. He accepted them. He died doing his job." She paused. "But if you're asking whether I think someone fucked up that night, whether someone leaked the operation, whether my father died because of incompetence or corruption, then yes, sir, I think all of that. I just don't think it was you." Brennan's jaw worked. "Why?" Because if it was you, you wouldn't have spent the last 13 years trying to find out who it really was. Sarah tilted her head slightly. You think I don't know? My grandfather told me. You've been investigating, off the books, quiet, looking for the leak. Your grandfather talks too much. My grandfather is a paranoid old frogman who doesn't trust the Navy brass. He and I have that in common. She adjusted her bag. Sir, I'm not here for revenge. I'm not here to prove anything except that I can do the job. If you want to wash me out because I'm a woman, that's your call. But don't do it because you feel guilty about my father. He wouldn't want that. Brennan stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded once. Alaska's going to be hell. Good, Sarah said. Hell I can handle. The C-130 landed on a frozen lake 40 miles south of Denali. The rear ramp dropped, and a wall of cold hit them like a physical blow. Sarah's breath crystallized instantly. The thermometer on Rodriguez's pack read -18 Fahrenheit. Welcome to paradise, Brennan announced. Grab your gear. We've got a 10-mile hike to base camp. The terrain was brutal. Knee-deep snow, hidden rocks, slopes that required climbing. The temperature made Sarah's lungs ache with every breath. Her thermal layers kept her core warm, but her face was exposed, and after 20 minutes, her cheeks were numb. They moved in silence, no talking, hand signals only. Brennan led, breaking trail. Sarah was in the middle of the column, her rifle up, scanning sectors. Every 100 yards they stopped, listened, moved again. Base camp was a clearing in a pine forest with 2 canvas tents and a supply cache. No heat except what they generated themselves. No communication except emergency satellite phone. For the next 14 days, they were alone in some of the most hostile terrain in North America. Day 1, basic survival, building shelters, starting fires in sub-zero temperatures, purifying water. Sarah worked alongside the men, her movements efficient and precise. She'd done all of this before. Wyoming winters had prepared her well, but she noticed things, small things. Her sleeping bag moved from where she'd left it. Her pack partially unzipped when she knew she'd sealed it. Her water bottles emptied overnight. Sabotage. Testing. She didn't complain, didn't report it, just worked harder. On day 2, they ran navigation drills. Teams of 2, given coordinates, expected to reach checkpoints and return. Sarah was paired with Jenkins, the stocky man who'd questioned her presence. They set out at dawn, snowshoes strapped on, packs heavy with survival gear. Jenkins set a brutal pace. Sarah matched it without comment. 2 hours in, he glanced back. You keeping up okay, ma'am? Fine, thanks. Long way from MIT. I didn't go to MIT to stay safe. Jenkins grunted. They walked in silence for another hour. The checkpoint was a red flag tied to a tree at the top of a ridge. They logged it, turned back. That's when Jenkins stepped wrong. One moment he was beside her. The next, he'd punched through a snow bridge over a hidden ravine. He dropped 8 feet, hit hard, and Sarah heard the snap of bone. She was moving before he finished falling, anchored her rope to a tree, rappelled down. Jenkins was conscious, his face gray with pain. His left leg bent at an angle that made her stomach twist. Compound fracture, she said. Don't move. Fuck, Jenkins breathed. Fuck, that hurts. Sarah keyed her radio. This is Coleman. Man down. Checkpoint Bravo. Jenkins has a compound fracture. Possible internal injuries. Need immediate evac. Brennan's voice crackled back. Copy. Evac inbound. ETA 40 minutes. Can you stabilize? Affirmative. She worked fast. Cut Jenkins' pant leg open, assessed the damage. The bone had broken through skin. Bad, but not arterial. She used her trauma kit to clean and pack the wound, then splinted the leg with ski poles and paracord. Jenkins was shaking, going into shock. Hey, Sarah said quietly. Look at me. He focused on her face. You're going to be fine. Helicopter's coming. but I need you to stay warm." She unzipped her parka, pulled out her thermal blanket, wrapped it around him. Then she built a windbreak from snow and branches, got a small fire going using her emergency fuel tabs. Jenkins' shaking slowed. You're gonna freeze." "I'm fine. Done this before. Bear attack when I was 16. Had to stabilize my grandfather's hunting partner and carry him 3 miles. You weigh less than he did." A ghost of a smile. That's supposed to make me feel better?" "It should, because I got him out alive, and I'm getting you out alive." The helicopter arrived 38 minutes later. Brennan himself was on board. He took one look at Jenkins, stable, conscious, properly treated, and then at Sarah. She stood in just her BDU top, no parka, shivering but functional. "Good work, Coleman," Brennan said. "Get your gear. You're coming back with us." "Sir, I can complete the exercise." "Not an option. Hypothermia protocol. You gave Jenkins your warming gear. That's noble and stupid. Get on the bird." She obeyed. As the helicopter lifted, she looked down and saw the rest of the team watching. Their faces had changed. The hostility was gone. Something else had replaced it. Respect, maybe. At base camp that night, after the medics checked her over and cleared her, Rodriguez approached. "Coleman, what you did today, Jenkins would have done the same for me." "No," Rodriguez said quietly. "He wouldn't have. None of us would have. We were hoping you'd fail, hoping you'd prove us right." He looked ashamed. "But you didn't. You saved his life. Without thinking about it, just did it. That's the job." "Yeah." Rodriguez extended his hand. "I was wrong about you." Sarah shook it. Apology accepted. Word spread fast. By morning, the atmosphere had shifted. The men still watched her, but differently now. Testing was over. She'd passed something more important than any qualification. Day 7 brought the weapons testing. They hiked to a glacial valley with clear sight lines stretching over a mile. Brennan had set up targets at various distances: 400 yards, 800 yards, 1,200 yards. The shooting qualification was simple: 5 shots at each distance, score 75% hits or better. Wind was gusting at 15 miles per hour, snow falling intermittently, temperature -22. Brutal conditions, perfect for finding out who could really shoot. The men went first. Chen, a quiet Asian American with sniper training, put 4 out of 5 on target at 400, 3 at 800, and 2 at 1,200. 60% overall. Good shooting. Davies managed similar numbers. Rodriguez struggled with the wind, scored 50%. Then Brennan called, "Coleman, you're up." Sarah moved to the firing line. She carried the same rifle she'd used in BUD/S, a military M24 SW/S, standard seal sniper weapon, but she'd made modifications. Custom stock adjusted for her smaller frame, modified trigger with lighter pull, scope with ranging reticle calibrated to her eye relief. She set up prone, adjusted the bipod, and looked downrange. The first target was 400 yards away, a white silhouette on a snow-covered slope. The wind was pushing left to right, gusting between 12 and 18 miles per hour. Temperature affected ballistics. The cold air was denser, would slow the bullets slightly. Sarah did the math in her head. The M118 LR round she was using, 175 grain .308, would drop approximately 40 inches at 400 yards. The wind would push it maybe 8 inches right at 15 miles per hour. She needed to aim high and left. She settled into the rifle, controlled her breathing, let her heart beat slow. The first shot surprised her, the way it should, squeezing the trigger between heartbeats so the recoil doesn't throw off aim. Downrange, the target showed a hit, center mass, 4 more shots, 4 more hits, 5 for 5. The men watching murmured. 800 yards now. The math got harder. Drop would be around 220 inches, over 18 feet. Wind drift, maybe 30 inches. The target looked impossibly small through the scope. Sarah adjusted her elevation turret, clicked it precisely. Accounted for the Coriolis effect, the Earth's rotation actually affects bullet trajectory at this distance. Not much, maybe 2 inches, but 2 inches was the difference between hit and miss. She fired. The bullet took nearly 2 full seconds to reach the target. She saw the impact through her scope. Hit. 4 more shots. 4 more hits. 10 for 10. The murmuring got louder. Even Brennan had his binoculars up now. 1,200 yards, he called. Last set. This was the edge of effective range for the M24. At 1,200 yards, over 2/3 of a mile, the bullet would drop almost 50 feet. Wind drift at 15 miles per hour would be 5 feet or more. Temperature, altitude, even humidity mattered. Miss any variable, and the shot went wide. Sarah lay behind her rifle and studied the target. It was barely visible through the falling snow. A white shape on white background, maybe the size of her thumbnail through the scope. She ran the calculations. Elevation, 34 minutes of angle. Windage, 3 minutes right. Coriolis, 4 inches left. Spin drift, the bullet's rotation creating drift. Another 2 inches right. Her grandfather's voice in her head. The math gets you close. Instinct gets you center. She breathed out. Let the crosshairs settle. Squeezed. The rifle bucked. The sound echoed off the mountains. 2.5 seconds later, the target showed an impact. Dead center. The men weren't murmuring anymore. They were silent. Sarah fired again. Hit. Again. Hit. Again. Hit. 5th and final shot. She didn't rush it, waited for the wind to drop, felt the moment of stillness, and fired. Hit. 15 for 15. Perfect score. She stood, saved her rifle, and turned. Every man was staring. Brennan's face was carefully neutral, but his eyes showed something she couldn't quite read. "Nice shooting, Coleman," he said quietly. "Best I've seen in 20 years. "Thank you, sir." "Where'd you learn to shoot like that?" "My grandfather. Started when I was 8. He said if a Coleman was going to carry a rifle, she'd damn well know how to use it." Brennan almost smiled. "He taught you well." He raised his voice. "That's the standard, gentlemen. Coleman just set the bar. Anyone wants to beat it, you've got 1 hour and another box of ammunition. Otherwise, we're done here." Nobody tried to beat it. That night, around the fire, Chen approached her. "Coleman, that's shooting. The math you were doing, how'd you learn it?" "Engineering degree. Ballistics is just physics. Gravity, wind resistance, gyroscopic precession, all calculable." "Can you teach it?" Sarah looked at him, then at the other men, all listening. "Sure, I can teach it." She spent an hour explaining the math. How to calculate bullet drop using the ballistic coefficient. How wind at the shooter is less important than wind halfway to the target. How temperature affects air density, affects velocity, affects trajectory. The men listened like students, taking mental notes. When she finished, Rodriguez said, "I always just aimed high and hoped." "Hope's not a strategy," Sarah said. "The math is. Get the math right, the bullet goes where you want." Brennan watched from across the fire. His face was shadowed, thoughtful. Day 10 brought the satellite phone call. They were running cold weather demolitions training, learning how explosives behave differently at extreme temperatures, when Brennan's sat phone buzzed. He stepped away from the group, spoke quietly for several minutes, then returned with his face carved from stone. "Pack your gear. We're leaving. Now." "Sir?" Chen asked. "Mission just came down from JSOC, high priority target. We're wheels up in 6 hours." The men moved fast, breaking down camp with practiced efficiency. Sarah worked alongside them, asking no questions. You didn't question mission orders. But she noticed Brennan watching her. Something in his expression made her cold in a way that had nothing to do with the temperature. On the flight back to Coronado, he sat beside her. The C-130's engines were loud enough to provide privacy. This mission, he said, it's not training, it's real world. Understood, sir. Target is a Russian arms dealer named Dmitry Volkov, former Spetsnaz. Now he sells weapons to the highest bidder. Intelligence says he's moving nuclear materials. Small-scale, tactical nukes. The kind terrorists would love to get their hands on. Sarah's blood went cold. Where? Siberia. Remote facility near the Mongolian border. He's meeting buyers in 72 hours. We go in, eliminate the threat, secure the materials. Brennan paused. CIA's been tracking him for 15 years. He's responsible for supplying weapons used in attacks from Chechnya to Syria. Thousands of casualties. He's a legitimate, high-value target. Why are you telling me this, sir? Brennan's eyes were dark. Because your father died trying to gather intelligence on Volkov. Helmand, 2011. Coleman's team had tracked him to that village. The operation was to observe and report, but someone leaked it. Volkov ambushed them, killed all 6 men. The world seemed to tilt. Volkov murdered your father, Brennan continued quietly. The CIA wants him dead. The Navy wants the nuclear material secured. And he stopped. I want you to know what you're walking into. This isn't just another mission. It's personal. Sarah's hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against her thighs. Does my grandfather know? He knows Volkov was involved. He doesn't know he's the target. I just found out myself. Brennan leaned closer. You can sit this one out. No shame. First real mission, and it's the man who killed your father? That's asking a lot. No, sir. Coleman. I said no, sir. Sarah's voice was steel. I'm going. I'm doing my job. And if Volkov is the target, then I'm the one who should take the shot. This isn't about revenge. I know, it's about the mission. It's about stopping a terrorist. It's about making sure nuclear weapons don't end up in the wrong hands. She met his eyes. But if I can honor my father's memory by completing what he started, that's not revenge, sir. That's justice. Brennan studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. All right, but Coleman, you can't let emotion cloud your judgment. Not on this. The moment I think you're compromised, I pull you. Clear? Crystal, sir. We'll brief the full team in 2 hours. Wheels up for Siberia tomorrow at 2100. Get your gear sorted. And Coleman? Sir, your father was a good man. One of the best operators I ever worked with. He'd be proud of you. Sarah's throat tightened. Thank you, sir. She stood and walked to the back of the plane, found a quiet corner, and sat with her head in her hands. Her father's face swam in her memory, smiling, laughing, teaching her to shoot when she was 8 years old. His hands guiding hers on the rifle. His voice, breathe, baby girl. Let the shots surprise you. He died 13 years ago. She'd been 14. Too young to understand what his death meant beyond the fact that he wasn't coming home. The flag-draped coffin, the 21-gun salute, her mother's sobs. But she understood now. He died hunting a monster, and now she had a chance to finish what he'd started. Sarah pulled out her phone. No signal this high up, but she had photos. She scrolled to one of her and her grandfather at her BUD/S graduation. The old man's face wet with tears, his hands on her shoulders. She'd promised him she'd be careful, that she wouldn't take stupid risks. This wasn't a stupid risk. This was what she'd trained for. At Coronado, they had 4 hours before final briefing. Sarah went to the armory, checked out her gear. M4A1 carbine with holographic sight, Sig Sauer P226 sidearm, K-bar knife, and her M24 sniper rifle, the one she'd customized, the one that had never failed her. She stripped each weapon, cleaned it, reassembled it, loaded magazines, counted rounds, checked her radio, her night vision, her cold weather gear. Everything had to be perfect. Chen found her there. Coleman, you good? Yeah, he sat on the bench beside her. Heard about your father. I'm sorry. Thanks. You want to talk about it? Not much to say. He died doing his job. Now I'm doing mine. Chen nodded. For what it's worth, if I was going into hell, I'd want you on Overwatch. That shooting in Alaska, that was inhuman. Best I've ever seen. I'm not special, just practiced. No, Chen shook his head. I've been shooting for 15 years. I practice every day. You're special, Coleman. You're something else. He stood. See you at briefing. The briefing room was packed. All 12 team members plus support staff. Brennan stood at the front with satellite imagery displayed on screens. Gentlemen and lady, this is Operation Coldfire. Target, Dmitry Volkov, Russian national, arms dealer, terrorist supplier. Location, Siberia, approximately 100 miles from the Mongolian border. This facility. He clicked to a new image. Former Soviet weapons depot. Volkov purchased it in 2015, turned it into a fortress. 30-foot walls, guard towers, extensive security. Intel says he has approximately 50 personnel on site. The team leaned forward, studying the images. Our objective, infiltrate the facility, eliminate Volkov, and secure nuclear materials before they're sold to terrorist organizations. Timeline is critical. The buy happens in 72 hours. After that, the materials disappear into the black market. How do we get in? Rodriguez asked. Halo insertion 20 miles out. We hike in, approach under cover of darkness. Primary sniper eliminates guards, clears our path. Assault team breaches, secures Volkov and the materials. Exfil via helicopter at a designated LZ 8 miles from target. Who's primary sniper? Davies asked. Brennan looked directly at Sarah. Coleman. The room went quiet. Sir, Davies said carefully, this is Coleman's first real mission. Shouldn't someone with more experience? Coleman has the best scores this team has seen in 20 years. Brennan cut him off. She's earned the position. Any other questions? Nobody spoke. Good. We leave at 2100 hours. Get your gear squared away. Dismissed. As the men filed out, Brennan called, Coleman, stay. She waited. When they were alone, Brennan said, you understand what you're doing? First mission, and I'm putting you on primary. That means every shot has to be perfect. One mistake, one miss, and this whole operation fails. Men die. Volkov escapes. Nuclear weapons disappear. I understand, sir. Do you? Because there's a difference between shooting targets at 1,000 yards and shooting people. Once you pull that trigger, you can't take it back. That person's life ends, and you have to live with that. Sarah's voice was steady. My grandfather told me something before I left for BUD/S. He said killing is easy. It's living with it that's hard. But if you kill for the right reasons, to protect, to serve, to stop evil, then you can live with it, because the alternative is letting evil win. Brennan's expression softened slightly. Your grandfather's a wise man. Yes, sir, he is. All right, get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Sarah nodded and turned to leave. Coleman, she stopped. Your father would be proud of you. I mean that. I know, sir. Thank you. She walked out into the California evening. The sun was setting over the Pacific, painting the sky orange and red. In 24 hours, she'd be in Siberia, hunting the man who'd killed her father. Sarah touched the trident on her chest. Then she pulled out her phone and called her grandfather. He answered on the first ring. Sarah? Hey, Grandpa. You sound strange. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I wanted to hear your voice. Where are you? Can't say. Mission. Silence. Then, be careful, baby girl. Always am. Your father used to say that too, right before he did something incredibly dangerous. Sarah smiled despite herself. I wonder where I got it from. From him, and from me, and from every stubborn Coleman who ever lived. Her grandfather's voice cracked slightly. You make us proud, Sarah. Every single day. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too. Come home safe. I will. She hung up, stood there for a moment, watching the sun disappear. Then she went to her quarters, laid out her gear, and tried to sleep. But sleep wouldn't come. Her mind kept circling back to one thing. Tomorrow she was going to Siberia to hunt Dmitry Volkov, to finish what her father had started 13 years ago. And this time, the mission wouldn't fail. This time, Ghost was going hunting. 24 hours ago, Sarah had learned the truth about her father's death. 24 hours ago, everything had changed. Now she sat in a C-17 Globemaster cargo bay at 30,000 feet, heading to Siberia, about to hunt the man who'd murdered her father. Dmitry Volkov. The name tasted like ash in her mouth. Chen sat across from her, methodically checking his magazines. Rodriguez was asleep, head tilted back, mouth open. Davies played cards with two support personnel. Normal pre-mission behavior. The calm before everything went to hell. Brennan emerged from the cockpit and moved to the center of the bay. Listen up, final brief. We're approaching Russian airspace. Once we cross into Siberia, we're black. No comms with command, no backup. We're on our own. He pulled up a tablet, showed them updated satellite imagery. Target facility here. Volkov arrived 6 hours ago. Thermal imaging confirms approximately 45 personnel on site. Vehicle convoy is expected tomorrow evening with the buyers. That gives us a 36-hour window. Weather? Chen asked. -40 Fahrenheit, wind 15 to 20 miles per hour. Clear skies, which helps for shooting, but means we're more visible. Brennan looked at Sarah. Coleman, you'll set up here. He pointed to a ridge overlooking the facility. 1,400 yards from the main compound. Can you make those shots in these conditions? Yes, sir. You'll have thermal imaging, but the cold's going to play hell with your scope. Battery life is cut in half at -40. You'll need to conserve power. Understood, sir. Once Coleman clears the towers, we move in. Fast and quiet. Volkov's quarters are here, 3rd floor of the main building. We breach, secure him, extract the nuclear materials from the vault in the basement, and move to the exfil point 8 miles north. The loadmaster approached. Commander, 30 minutes to drop zone. Copy. Brennan turned back to the team. Gear up, this is it. They moved like a choreographed machine. Sarah pulled on her cold weather gear, layered thermals, Gore-Tex outer shell, insulated boots rated to -60. Over that went her plate carrier with ceramic armor plates, magazine pouches, radio. Her helmet with integrated night vision and thermal imaging. Her M4 strapped across her chest. Her M24 in a padded case on her back. Her SIG on her hip. 60 pounds of gear, and she barely felt it. Chen helped her with her parachute rig. You ready for this? As ready as I'll ever be. First combat jump? Yeah. It's a rush. Just remember your training. Count to 5 after exit, pull the cord. Step her for the rally point. Don't land on anything stupid. Sarah smiled thinly. Thanks for the confidence. The loadmaster called. 10 minutes. Brennan checked each person's gear personally. When he got to Sarah, he pulled her aside. You good? Yes, sir. Once we're on the ground, there's no turning back. You understand that? I understand. And you can handle seeing Volkov? Taking the shot if necessary? Sarah's eyes were cold. I can handle it, sir. Brennan studied her face, then nodded. Let's go to work. The rear ramp lowered. Wind howled into the cargo bay. The sky beyond was black and endless. Stars brilliant in the thin atmosphere. 25,000 feet. The air was so thin Sarah felt lightheaded despite her oxygen mask. 2 minutes! The team lined up at the ramp. Sarah was fourth in the stick, between Chen and Rodriguez. Her heart hammered. Her hands were steady. 1 minute! The light turned green. Go, go, go! Brennan disappeared into the darkness. Chen followed. Then the next man. Then Sarah stepped to the edge, looked down at the infinite black, and jumped. The wind hit her like a hammer. She tumbled, instinctively arched her back the way they taught her, stabilized. The ground was 5 miles below, invisible in the darkness. She fell at 120 miles per hour, the wind screaming past her helmet. She counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pulled the ripcord. The parachute deployed with a violent jerk that rattled her teeth. Suddenly she was floating, the wind noise dropping to a whisper. She activated her night vision. The world turned green. Below she could see mountains, forests, the snaking line of a frozen river. The ground rushed up faster than expected. Sarah bent her knees, rolled as she hit, absorbing the impact. Snow erupted around her. She was down. She hit the quick release on her chute, let the wind take it, and unslung her M4. Scanned the tree line. Nothing moved. One by one, the team materialized. Brennan did a quick head count. All accounted for. Cache your chutes. We move in 5. They buried the parachutes in snow, camouflaged them with branches. Then they formed up in a tactical column and started moving. The terrain was brutal. Knee-deep snow, hidden rocks, slopes that required climbing. The temperature made Sarah's lungs ache with every breath. Her thermal layers kept her core warm, but her face was exposed, and after 20 minutes her cheeks were numb. They moved in silence. No talking, hand signals only. Every 100 yards they stopped, listened, moved again. 2 hours into the hike, Rodriguez raised his fist. Everyone froze. He pointed. Through the trees 100 yards away, Sarah saw light. A small building, smoke rising from a chimney. Brennan signaled, "Scout it." Chen and Davies moved forward, ghosts in the darkness. 5 minutes passed. 10. Chen's voice over the radio, barely a whisper. "Outpost. 2 guards. Civilian hunters, looks like. Not military." Brennan, "Leave them. We go around." They circled wide, avoiding the hunting cabin. Dawn came slowly at this latitude. The sky turned from black to gray to a pale, washed-out blue. They were still 3 miles from the target when Brennan called a halt. "We hole up here until nightfall. No fires, cold rations only, sleep rotation." They found a sheltered spot beneath a rock overhang and spread out. Sarah volunteered for first watch. The cold was relentless. It crept through her gear, settled into her bones. Rodriguez relieved her after 4 hours. Sarah crawled into her sleeping bag and closed her eyes. Sleep came in fits. Every time she started to drift, she saw her father's face. "Be the best, baby girl. Not the first, the best." When she woke, it was late afternoon. Chen was on watch, and the rest of the team was quietly prepping gear. Brennan gathered them for final briefing. "As soon as it's dark, we move. Coleman sets up her hide. Rest of us continue to the approach point. At 2200 hours, Coleman starts taking out sentries. Once the towers are clear, we breach." Darkness fell at 5 p.m. They moved out, covering the last 3 miles in 90 minutes. The facility appeared through the trees. High concrete walls, guard towers at each corner, spotlights sweeping the perimeter. Brennan led Sarah to the ridge. It was a perfect sniper position, elevated, covered by rocks and scrub brush, with clear sight lines to the entire facility. She set up her rifle, adjusted the bipod, and looked through her scope. 1,400 yards. She could see guards walking the walls, smoke rising from chimneys, lights in windows. Through her thermal imaging, the facility glowed with heat signatures. Brennan crouched beside her. "You see Volkov?" She scanned the buildings. "Negative, too many heat signatures." "Keep watching, he'll show himself eventually." The rest of the team moved down the ridge, disappearing into the darkness. Sarah was alone now, just her rifle, and the target. An hour passed. 2. At 20:30 hours, movement at the main building. A door opened. A man emerged, flanked by 2 bodyguards. Even at 1,400 yards, even through thermal imaging, Sarah recognized him. Dmitry Volkov. He was tall, broad-shouldered, moving with the confidence of a man who feared nothing. He lit a cigarette, stood on the steps, surveyed his kingdom. Sarah's finger moved to her trigger. She could take the shot right now. End this. But Brennan's orders were clear. Wait for the signal. She watched Volkov through her scope. He finished his cigarette, flicked it into the snow, and went back inside. Sarah's radio crackled. Brennan's voice, barely audible. Coleman, you have eyes on primary target? Affirmative, visual confirmation. Copy, stand by. We're moving into position. At 21:45 hours, Brennan. Coleman, we're set. On your signal, start clearing towers, north to south. Copy, standing by. She ranged the first tower, 1,412 yards. Wind pushing right to left. She'd need to hold 3 feet right, 5 feet high, 2,200 hours. Coleman, you are cleared hot. Execute. Sarah's breathing slowed. Her heart rate dropped. The world narrowed to the crosshairs in her scope. The rifle bucked. Through her scope, she watched the bullet's impact. The guard jerked backward, fell. His partner turned, confused. Sarah was already on him. Second shot. The guard dropped. Tower 1 clear. Tower 2. 2 guards standing close together. Sarah fired twice in quick succession. Both fell. Tower 2 clear. Towers 3 and 4 were farther, 1,500 yards. Sarah adjusted her scope, took her time. First guard, fire, miss. The bullet sparked off metal. Sarah fired again. Hit. The guard collapsed. The last guard was alert now, moving, scanning. Sarah tracked him, waited. He peeked out. Sarah fired. The bullet hit him high in the shoulder, not a kill shot. He fell behind cover. Tower 4 guard wounded, not confirmed down. Brennan, copy, we're moving. Sarah watched the assault team materialize from the darkness. They hit the wall fast, placed breaching charges. The explosion was muffled but effective. They poured through, weapons up. Then everything went wrong. Alarms blared. Floodlights snapped on. Guards erupted from buildings, shouting, grabbing weapons. Contact! Rodriguez's voice. We've got 30+ hostiles. Sarah was already shooting. A guard running toward her team. She dropped him. Another dropped. A third dropped. 5 shots. 5 bodies. But there were too many. Coleman! Brennan's voice was strained. We need fire support. Sarah shifted her scope, saw 4 guards advancing on her team. She fired. Missed. The wind had shifted. She adjusted, fired again. Hit. Fired. Hit. Brennan, you've got 2 tangos behind the truck at your 10 o'clock. Copy, Davies, grenade. An explosion. The truck's gas tank ignited. Sarah saw the 2 guards running, on fire, and put them down. But more guards kept coming. Before anyone could answer, Sarah saw movement at the main building. Volkov emerged, moving with purpose toward a vehicle. I have eyes on Volkov. He's heading for the motor pool. Take the shot. Sarah swung her rifle, found Volkov in the scope. 1,500 yards, moving target, wind gusting. She led him, squeezed the trigger. Missed. The bullet sparked off concrete. Volkov dove behind a vehicle. Missed. He's in cover. The team fought through the compound. Sarah provided cover, firing at anything that moved. Her rifle grew hot. She burned through 2 magazines in 3 minutes. Then her scope flickered. Battery warning, 15%. Brennan, I'm losing thermal. Copy, keep shooting. Sarah scanned desperately. There, a heat signature moving behind buildings. She tracked the movement, fired. The figure stumbled but kept moving. Possible hit on Volkov. He's still mobile, heading to vehicles. The figure reached an SUV, dove inside. The engine started. He's in a vehicle, black SUV, moving toward the south gate. Sarah switched off thermal imaging, used her regular scope, relying on the compound's floodlights. The SUV was moving fast, 1,600 yards. Moving target, impossible. Her grandfather's voice. The math gets you close. Instinct gets you center. She led the SUV, calculated speed and trajectory, and fired. The bullet hit the driver's side tire. The vehicle swerved, spun, crashed into a concrete barrier. Vehicle disabled. Volkov is stopped. Moving to secure, Brennan said. Sarah watched her team converge on the crashed SUV. They approached tactically. The driver's door opened. A figure stumbled out. Not Volkov, one of the bodyguards. "Where is he?" Brennan's voice. The bodyguard pointed back at the main building. Sarah's blood went cold. Volkov hadn't been in the SUV. It was a decoy. "Brennan, it's a trap. He's still in the building." As she said it, the main building's lights went out. The entire facility went dark. Then the explosion. The main building's third floor erupted in flames. Fire poured from windows and the roof collapsed inward. "Volkov just destroyed his own operations center," Davies said. "To destroy evidence," Sarah said. "Sir, he's not running. He's covering his tracks." "Brennan, search the building. Find him." The team breached the main building, fighting through smoke and flames. Sarah could only watch, helpless. Minutes passed. Then Brennan's voice, tight with stress. "We've got a situation. Coleman, can you see the northwest corner? The loading dock?" Sarah swung her scope. "Affirmative." "We've got Volkov cornered in the control room, but he's rigged explosives. Dead man's switch. Says if we breach, he detonates. The nuclear materials are in the basement directly below. If he blows it, we're looking at a radiological event." Sarah's mind raced. "Can you negotiate?" "He wants safe passage." "You can't let him walk." "I know, but I can't risk the materials." Brennan's frustration was clear. "Coleman, do you have a shot?" Sarah scanned the building. Through the smoke and flames she could barely see. "Negative, too much obstruction." "There's a window on the third floor, northwest side. If he moves to it, could you take him?" "Maybe, but sir, it's 1,600 yards, smoke and heat distortion, moving target. I'd be shooting blind. If he gets away, he's gone. This is our only shot." The weight settled on Sarah's shoulders. Everything came down to this moment. "I'm ready, sir." She watched through her scope. The building burned. Smoke poured from broken windows. Then she saw it, a figure moving behind the smoke. A man's silhouette, visible for just a second. "Volkov." "I see him. Can you take the shot?" The crosshairs danced over empty space. The smoke was too thick. The heat distortion made everything shimmer. "Negative, not yet." "Coleman, listen to me." Brennan's voice was calm. "I need you to trust yourself. Trust your training. You're the best shooter I've ever seen. If anyone can make this shot, it's you." Sarah's heart hammered. This wasn't a target. This was the man who'd killed her father, and she had one chance. The silhouette moved again. Volkov stepped to the window, looked out. Sarah saw his face through the scope. Hard features, cold eyes. A killer. "I have a shot." "Green light, take him." Sarah's world collapsed to the reticle. Wind left to right, 20 miles per hour. Heat distortion making everything dance. Smoke drifting. Volkov's head visible for maybe 2 seconds. She calculated, led the target, adjusted for wind, for drop, for the heat shimmer. Her finger touched the trigger, squeezed. The rifle fired. Through the scope, she watched the bullet's flight. The smoke parted for just a moment. She saw the impact. Volkov's head snapped back. He disappeared. "Hit. Target is down." Silence. Then, "Confirmed. Volkov is down. Dead man's switch is inactive. We're securing the room." Sarah's hands started shaking. She'd done it. Made the impossible shot. Killed the man who'd murdered her father. But all she felt was empty. "Coleman, nice shooting." Brennan's voice held awe. "That was a 1 in a million shot." "Thank you, sir. Stay on Overwatch. were securing the materials and extracting. Sarah kept watch while the team moved through the burning building. She saw them emerge carrying heavy cases, the nuclear materials. They'd done it. Mission successful. The team reached her position, and Brennan clapped her shoulder. "Hell of a shot, Coleman. Your father would be proud." "Sir, I need to tell you something." Brennan studied her face. "What?" "When I saw Volkov through the scope, I wanted to kill him. Not because of the mission, because of my father. But you didn't pull the trigger for revenge. You pulled it because I gave you the order, because the mission required it." Brennan's voice was firm. "Don't second-guess yourself. You did your job perfectly." They hiked 8 miles to the extraction point. The helicopter picked them up at dawn. They flew to a CIA facility in Mongolia. Debriefing took 6 hours. The nuclear materials were secured. Sarah sat alone in a small room, drinking bad coffee. Chen found her there. "You okay?" "I killed someone today." "Yeah, you did. First time?" "Yeah." Chen sat beside her. "It doesn't get easier, but you learn to live with it, because the alternative is letting men like Volkov keep killing." "My grandfather said something similar." "Your grandfather is a smart man." Chen paused. "For what it's worth, that shot was incredible. Brennan's already writing you up for a medal." "I don't want a medal." "I know, but you're getting one anyway." They flew back to Coronado 3 days later. When they landed, her grandfather was waiting. He stood by the fence, his old UDT cap pulled low. When Sarah walked off the plane, he opened his arms. She ran to him. He held her tight, and she finally let herself cry. "I killed him, Grandpa. Volkov, I killed him." "I know, baby girl. Does that make me a monster?" "No, it makes you a warrior. Like your father. Like me. We carry the weight so others don't have to. It hurts. I know it does. But you stopped something worse from happening." That night, Brennan found Sarah in the team room. "Walk with me." They walked the beach. "I owe you an apology," Brennan said. "When you first joined my team, I thought you were a liability, a political statement. And now? Now I think you're the best damn operator I've ever served with." He stopped, faced her. "That shot you made? I've been doing this for 35 years. I've never seen anything like it." "It wasn't easy, sir." "I know, but you did it anyway. That's what makes you exceptional." Brennan handed her a folder. "CIA analyzed the materials we recovered. Tactical nukes. Volkov was selling them to a terror cell, planning to hit a U.S. embassy. You saved hundreds of lives." Sarah looked at the folder, but didn't open it. They walked in silence. Then Sarah said, "When I was on Overwatch, I saw the guards. Young men. Some weren't evil. They were just there. And I killed them." Brennan stopped. "You did, because they were between us and the mission. Because they made a choice to work for Volkov. Does that make it right?" "No, it makes it necessary." Brennan's voice was gentle. "You're asking the right questions. The fact that you're struggling means you have a conscience. Hold on to that, but don't let it paralyze you." Sarah nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. Get some rest. 2 weeks leave. Go home. See your grandfather." "What about the team? After what you did in Siberia, they'd follow you into hell. You're not just accepted, you're respected." Her phone buzzed. Text from Rodriguez. "Team dinner tomorrow. You're buying. Payment for that impossible shot." Despite everything, Sarah smiled. She typed back, "Fair enough." Rodriguez. "Deal. Welcome to the team, Ghost." Ghost, her call sign. The name that meant she moved unseen, shot without warning. Sarah pocketed her phone, turned her back on the ocean, and walked toward her new life. But that night, as she lay in her quarters, unable to sleep, her phone buzzed with an encrypted message. No sender, just 2 words. Wrong body. She stared at the screen, deleted the message. But her instincts screamed something was wrong, and somewhere in the darkness, she felt eyes watching. 3 months after Siberia, Sarah stood in a nondescript CIA facility in Northern Virginia, staring at a file that made her blood run cold. The debriefing room was windowless, sterile, lit by harsh fluorescent lights. Across the table sat a woman in her 40s, dark suit, no-nonsense expression. Agent Linda Reeves, Special Activities Division. "You're telling me Brennan was there?" Sarah said slowly. "In Afghanistan, when my father died." "Not just there. He was the commanding officer who sent your father's team in." Reeves pushed a document across the table. "These are the operational orders, signed by Commander Jack Brennan." Sarah's hands trembled as she read. The mission parameters, the go order, Brennan's signature. "He told me he was tactical overwatch, 700 miles away." "He lied." Reeves' voice was flat. "Brennan was at Forward Operating Base Lily, 12 miles from the village. He had orders from the Pentagon to stand down, to let Volkov go. But he ignored them. Sent your father's team in anyway. When the ambush happened, he couldn't call for backup without revealing he'd gone rogue." Sarah's world tilted. "Your father died because Brennan put his ego above orders. Why are you telling me this now?" "Because there's more." Reeves opened another file. "Volkov didn't die in Siberia. The body you saw wasn't him. Dental records don't match. Someone died in that control room, but it wasn't Dmitry Volkov." The room spun. Sarah gripped the table. "That's impossible. I saw him." "You shot someone who looked like Volkov, someone wearing his clothes. But Volkov is alive, and he's planning something. Nuclear materials. The ones you recovered were just part of his inventory. Who's protecting him?" Reeves pulled out a photograph. "We think it's a 3-star general at the Pentagon. Volkov has leverage on him." Sarah stared at the photo. General Marcus Hyde. 60s, gray hair, chest full of medals. "What does this have to do with me?" "Volkov knows you're alive, and Hyde's authorized a kill order, not for Volkov, for Brennan, and for you." Sarah's blood went cold. "Me? Because you can confirm Volkov is alive. You're a loose end." Reeves stood. "You have 48 hours before the kill team deploys. I suggest you move fast." Sarah left in a daze. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Coleman," Brennan's voice, rough. "Don't trust Reeves. Don't trust the CIA. They're compromised." "Where are you?" "Listen, Volkov is alive, but it's worse than you think. You need to disappear. Now." "Sir, what's happening?" "I made a mistake 13 years ago. I got your father killed. I've spent every day since trying to make it right. Now I have a chance to finish it. But you need to stay out of the crossfire." "I'm not running." Silence. Then, "You're your father's daughter, stubborn as hell." A pause. "There's a package coming to your apartment. Inside is everything. Coordinates, contacts, proof. Use it to stay alive." "Sir? I'm sorry. For lying. For everything. Your father was my friend. I failed him. I won't fail you." The line went dead. Sarah drove back to Coronado, parked 2 blocks away, approached on foot. Her building looked normal, but her instincts screamed danger. She entered through the parking garage, took the stairs, listened at her door. Silence. She unlocked it, entered fast, weapon drawn. Empty. But on her kitchen table sat a cardboard box. She cleared the apartment. Closets, bathroom, bedroom, nothing. She returned to the box. Inside, a satellite phone, a USB drive, coordinates, and a handwritten note. "Coleman, the USB contains proof. Everything. It shows the general has been on Volkov's payroll for 2 decades. He leaked your father's operation. He's protected Volkov all these years. The coordinates are where Volkov is hiding. Siberian wilderness, 200 miles from last time. Prove him wrong. Brennan." Sarah plugged the USB into her laptop. Files filled the screen. Mission reports, financial records, audio files. A recording. 2 voices, Volkov and an American. Volkov. The Coleman team is getting too close. They need to be eliminated. American voice. Agreed. I'll arrange the ambush. Make it look like Taliban. The recording was dated October 6, 2011, the day before her father died. Sarah's hands shook. More recordings, years of them. Volkov and the general, planning operations, arranging deals, eliminating threats. Her phone rang, the satellite phone. Coleman, not Brennan, the voice from the recordings. General Marcus Hyde, a dry chuckle. Smart girl, your father was smart too. Didn't help him. You killed him. I made a difficult decision. Your father was about to expose an operation critical to national security. You sold out to Volkov. You're a traitor. I'm a pragmatist, Hyde's voice hardened. You have information that could damage national security. I'm giving you one chance. Destroy the files, disappear, or I send my team and you die like your father did. Sarah's voice was ice. Come and get me, General. She hung up, grabbed her gear, and ran. She made it to her truck, threw her bag in back, and peeled out. In her rearview mirror, she saw two black SUVs pulling up. The kill team. She'd missed them by seconds. Sarah drove north, staying off highways. She called the one person she trusted. Her grandfather answered. Sarah? Grandpa, I need help. Can you get to the cabin? The cabin, Wyoming, off-grid. I can be there in 8 hours. What's happening? I'll explain when I see you. Grandpa, come armed. Always do, baby girl. Sarah drove for 16 hours straight, switching vehicles twice. She reached the cabin at dawn. Her grandfather was there, smoke rising from the chimney. He met her at the door, pulled her inside. Tell me. She told him everything. Brennan's lies, Volkov's survival, Hyde's betrayal, the kill team. So we're at war, he said finally. Not the government, just the corrupt parts. That's still war. He moved to a locked cabinet, opened it. Inside were rifles, handguns, ammunition. If they're coming, we make them pay. Sarah's phone buzzed. Text. Check your email. Rodriguez. She opened her laptop. Rodriguez had sent encrypted attachments. Ghost, heard you're in trouble. Attached are safe houses, contacts, supply caches. We've got your back. Just say the word. Semper Fi, Rodriguez. Sarah typed. Stand down. This is my fight. Rodriguez replied. Negative. SEALs don't leave teammates behind. We're moving into position. If you need us, we're there. I've got backup, Sarah told her grandfather. Good, you'll need them. I'm going after Volkov. Brennan sent coordinates. Siberia. I finish what we started. And the general? Him too. Volkov first. If I take him down, expose the network, Hyde loses his leverage. Her grandfather smiled grimly. So we're going to Russia to hunt the most dangerous arms dealer in the world. He pulled out his Vietnam-era M14. Sounds like a Tuesday. Sarah studied the coordinates. The location was 200 miles northwest of the previous target, a valley in the Altai Mountains. Satellite imagery showed a small compound, heavily fortified. She'd need a team. She made a call. It rang 6 times. Da? Anya Sokolova, this is Sarah Coleman. Silence. Then, Ghost, I heard rumors you died. Rumors are wrong. I need your help. Why would I help American? Because the man I killed wasn't Dmitry Volkov. He's still alive, and I know where he is. More silence. You have my attention. Your brother, Alexei, former FSB, Volkov had him killed. I think we want the same thing. Justice is cold word. I want revenge. Then let's get it together. Anya laughed, bitter. You are either brave or stupid. Where and when? Sarah gave coordinates in Montana. 3 days. Come alone. I will be there. And Ghost, if this is trap, I will kill you slow. If it's a trap, you'll have earned it. 2 days later, Sarah and her grandfather met Anya at a diner in Miles City. The Russian woman was mid-30s, lean and hard, with a scar from eye to jaw. Practical clothes, boots, concealed weapon. Anya slid into the booth. "So, we are doing this stupid thing." "We are," Sarah confirmed. "But first, I need to know I can trust you." "Trust is earned." Anya pulled out her phone, showed photos. "This is Volkov's new facility. I have been tracking him. 30 men, ex-military, Chechen, very loyal, very dangerous. Anti-aircraft missiles. Only approach is on foot through Mountain Pass." Sarah studied the photos. "How current?" 4 days. Cost me $10,000. "Your people?" "I am not alone. Others want Volkov dead. Other families he destroyed. We share information." Sarah's grandfather spoke. "And if we succeed?" Anya's smile was cold. "Then we find the next monster. There is always another monster." They planned for 3 hours. Anya had contacts in Mongolia for transport and weapons. Sarah had tactical expertise. Together, they had a chance. "One more thing," Sarah said. "There's an American general protecting Volkov. Marcus Hyde. Pentagon. He got my father killed. He's trying to kill me. After Volkov, I'm going after him." Anya's expression darkened. "This general, he is the American Volkov mentioned, the one who gave warning. You have recordings?" "Some, enough to know they worked together many years." "Then we use them, expose him." Anya extended her hand. "We have deal, but Ghost? When time comes to kill Volkov, that shot is mine." Sarah shook. "You've earned it." Within 24 hours, they were in Mongolia. Her grandfather's contact provided weapons. A K-74 rifles, Makarov pistols, grenades, Dragunov for Anya. Sarah kept her M24. It had never failed her. Rodriguez called. "Ghost, the team wants in." "Can't do it, this is off book." "We're aware. Chen, Davies, and I are on leave. As private citizens. In Mongolia. What a coincidence." Relief washed over Sarah. "You're risking your careers." "Careers are nice. Teammates are better." "Where are you?" 40 miles out. Say the word." Sarah looked at her grandfather and Anya. They nodded. "Come on, but Rodriguez? No backup, no extraction. If it goes sideways, we're on our own." "Wouldn't have it any other way." When the SEALs arrived, the dynamics shifted. They weren't vigilantes. They were a team. They spent 2 days preparing. Anya's intel was solid. Volkov had 30 men, but half were off duty. If they hit at 0300, they'd face 15. Better odds. The plan was simple. Hike in. Anya and Sarah on overwatch. Eliminate sentries. Ground team breaches. Secures Volkov. Extracts. On operation night, they crossed into Russia illegally. Temperature -30. Wind cut through gear like knives. They moved in silence through darkness. 10 miles. 15. 20. At dawn, they holed up. At dusk, moved again. On the third day, they reached the valley. Volkov's facility sat below. Guard towers, high walls, floodlights. Sarah and Anya found sniper positions. 700 yards for Sarah, 800 for Anya. The team moved into assault positions. "All stations, radio check," Sarah whispered. One by one, confirmations. Everyone in position. "Stand by for go order." She settled behind her rifle. Through her scope, she could see guards walking walls, smoke rising, almost peaceful. Then she saw him, Dmitry Volkov, stepping out of the main building. Even at 700 yards, she recognized him. The real him this time. He stood on the steps, lighting a cigarette, surveying his domain. Arrogant, confident. Sarah's finger moved to her trigger. One shot, this nightmare would end. But something made her hesitate. Movement behind Volkov. Another man emerged, American, older, General Marcus Hyde. "I've got 2 targets," Sarah whispered. "Volkov and Hyde, both on the steps. Anya's voice. Take them both. Rodriguez. Negative, we need Hyde alive. He's the key to exposing the conspiracy. If I don't shoot now, we lose the opportunity. Your call, Ghost. You're the shooter. Sarah's mind raced. Kill them both. Justice served. But no proof. No one believes the conspiracy. Hyde becomes a dead hero. Capture Hyde, make him talk, burn the whole network down. The harder right instead of easy wrong. Sarah adjusted her aim. I'm taking the shot on Volkov. Ground team, secure Hyde. Copy. She watched Volkov through her scope, laughing at something Hyde said, enjoying his victory. Sarah breathed out, squeezed. The rifle bucked. 700 yards away, Volkov's head snapped back. He collapsed, dead before hitting ground. Hyde froze, dove for cover. Guards erupted, shouting, grabbing weapons. Alarm blared. Contact, Rodriguez yelled. Moving in. The ground team hit hard. Breaching charges blew the gate. They poured through, weapons up, firing with precision. Guards fell. Sarah and Anya provided overwatch. Sarah's rifle was methodical. Acquire target. Fire. Move to next. She stopped counting after 10. The team reached the main building. Hyde was trying to escape. Chen tackled him, zip-tied his hands. We've got Hyde. Facility is secure. But Sarah saw movement on the roof. A guard with RPG aiming at her team. RPG! Roof! She swung up, fired. The guard fell backward. The RPG launched wild, exploding harmlessly. Clear. All clear. The team regrouped. Volkov's body lay on the steps, neat hole in forehead. Hyde knelt in snow, hands bound, face gray. Rodriguez hauled him up. General Hyde, you're under arrest for treason, conspiracy to commit murder. Hyde's voice was venomous. You're all dead. You assaulted a Russian facility, kidnapped a general. The moment you set foot in the U.S., you'll be arrested. Sarah stepped forward. Maybe. But first, you're going to tell the world what you did. Every operation, every betrayal, every soldier you got killed. And if you don't, we'll release the recordings. Your voice, planning my father's death. You're finished. Hyde stared with pure hatred, then his shoulders slumped. You have no idea what you've done. The system you're exposing? It's bigger than Volkov, bigger than me. You've painted targets on all your backs. Then it's good we're hard to kill, Rodriguez said. Move. They extracted under darkness, hiking back with Hyde as prisoner. 4 days to reach Mongolia. 4 days of brutal cold, minimal sleep. Anya stayed behind. Volkov's network still exists. His people, his buyers. They will come for revenge. I will be waiting. Sarah shook her hand. Thank you. No, thank you. For giving me chance to kill man who murdered my brother. I can finally rest. Anya smiled. If you are ever in Russia again and need help, call me. Same to you. They flew back to the U.S. on a private cargo plane. Untraceable. Off book. They landed in Nevada. Sarah made the call. Captain Richards answered. Coleman, where the hell have you been? You're AWOL. Sir, I have something you need to see. And I have General Hyde. In custody. Silence. Then, say that again. General Marcus Hyde, Pentagon. I have proof he's been working with Russian arms dealers for 20 years. That he's responsible for American deaths, including my father. And I have his confession. Coleman, if you're lying, I'm not, sir, but I need guarantees. Immunity for me, my team, everyone involved. And I need this to go public. No cover-ups. I can't make those promises. Then find someone who can. Sir, I'm sitting on the biggest military scandal since Abu Ghraib. Either the Navy gets in front of it, or I go to the press. Long silence. Where are you? Secure location. I'll send coordinates when I have your answer. She hung up, looked at her team, her grandfather, Hyde in the corner. Now we wait. 12 hours later, Richards called back. Coleman, you're cleared. Full immunity. The Joint Chiefs want Hyde delivered to Quantico. They want to debrief you personally. It is, sir. It absolutely is. 2 days later, Sarah stood in a secure briefing room at Quantico, facing admirals and generals. She presented everything: recordings, financial records, Hyde's confession, proof of a conspiracy lasting 2 decades. The room was silent when she finished. The chairman spoke. Petty Officer Coleman, what you've uncovered is unprecedented. Hyde will face tribunal. His co-conspirators are being arrested, and you've done your country a great service. Thank you, sir. However, your actions in Russia were illegal. You assaulted a foreign facility, killed foreign nationals. By rights, you should face charges. Sarah's heart sank. Sir, he held up a hand. But, given the circumstances, given you were stopping a clear danger, given you've exposed corruption at the highest levels, we're willing to overlook irregularities. Sir, I don't understand. You're being promoted, Lieutenant Sarah Coleman, effective immediately. You're assigned to a new unit, special activities, direct action against threats outside normal channels. Report directly to JSOC. You find the bad guys, you eliminate them. Questions? Sarah felt dizzy. Sir, I don't know what to say. Say yes, Lieutenant. She looked at Rodriguez, Chen, Davies. They were grinning. Yes, sir. Absolutely yes. Good. Your team is authorized. Pick whoever you want. Budget unlimited. Rules flexible. First mission brief in 72 hours. Dismissed. Sarah walked out in a daze. Rodriguez clapped her back. Lieutenant Ghost has a nice ring. I can't believe this. Believe it. You're officially the most dangerous woman in the Navy. Chen grinned. And we get to come along. That night, Sarah drove to Arlington Cemetery, found her father's grave. The headstone was simple. Master Chief William Coleman, beloved father, faithful servant. She knelt, placed her new lieutenant's bars on the stone. I did it, Dad. Got the bastards who killed you. Both of them. Volkov's dead. Hyde's going to prison. And I'm going to keep fighting. Keep protecting people. The way you did. The wind rustled through trees. Sarah could almost hear her father's voice. Be the best, baby girl. I will, Dad. I promise. She stood, saluted, and walked away. 6 months later, Sarah stood on a stage in Coronado, surrounded by admirals, press, her team. The ceremony was public, broadcast nationally. The Secretary of the Navy stepped forward. Lieutenant Sarah Coleman, for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at risk of your life above and beyond the call of duty, for your actions in Siberia, for exposing corruption, and for upholding the highest traditions of naval service, I hereby award you the Navy Cross. He pinned the medal to her uniform, second only to Medal of Honor. The crowd erupted. But Sarah wasn't looking at the crowd. She was looking at the front row. Her grandfather, tears streaming down his weathered face. Brennan, exonerated once truth came out. Rodriguez, Chen, Davies, her team, her family. After the ceremony, reporters swarmed. Lieutenant Coleman, how does it feel to be the first female SEAL to receive the Navy Cross? I'm honored, but I'm not special. I'm just doing my job. What would you say to young women who want to join special operations? Sarah smiled. I'd say what my grandfather told me. If you're going to carry a rifle, learn to use it. If you're going to serve, serve with everything you have. Don't let anyone tell you you're not good enough. Prove them wrong. One last question. What's next? Sarah's smile turned dangerous. There are monsters out there. Men like Volkov. Men like Hyde. People who prey on the innocent, who think they're untouchable. She looked directly into the camera. I'm going to hunt them, every last one, because that's what Ghost does. Later at the reception, Brennan approached. Hell of a speech. Just the truth, sir. I owe you an apology for lying about your father. You've apologized enough. You spent 13 years trying to make it right. That counts. Brennan nodded. Your father would be proud of the soldier you've become, of the woman you are. I hope so. I know so. He extended his hand. Good hunting, Ghost. She shook it. Thank you, sir. That night, Sarah returned to her apartment. It felt strange, this normalcy after months of chaos. She poured whiskey, sat on her balcony, watched the sunset. Her phone buzzed. Message from unknown number. She opened it. A photo. Her father, young and smiling, in SEAL uniform. And beside him another man, younger. Sarah's breath caught. It was her brother. Marcus Coleman, 24 in the photo. Deployed to Iraq, 2019. KIA, they told her. IED attack. Closed casket funeral. She'd mourned him, buried an empty box. But this photo was dated 3 months ago. Marcus, alive. Another message. I know you think I'm dead. I had to disappear. They were coming for me, same people who killed Dad. I've been investigating them 5 years. Underground. I have proof. Proof beyond Hyde, beyond Volkov. This conspiracy? Bigger than you think. Meet me. Wyoming cabin. 3 days. Come alone. Trust no one. Not even Brennan. M. Sarah's hands shook. Her brother. Her little brother who'd idolized their father. Who joined Marines to follow his footsteps. Who'd supposedly died. Alive. She pulled up his military records. Classified. Sealed. Details about his death beyond official report. She dug deeper. Found anomalies. His unit's deployment didn't match. IED location wasn't on any convoy route. Personnel listed as witnesses, all transferred within weeks, all unreachable. Marcus had faked his death, or someone faked it for him. Why? Sarah looked at the photo again. His smile, her father's smile. One dead hunting monsters, one supposedly dead, alive and hunting something bigger. She should report this, call Richards, call Brennan. But Marcus said, trust no one. What if he was right? What if conspiracy went deeper? More traitors, more lies. Sarah stood, walked to closet, started packing. M24, gear, cash, fake IDs, everything to disappear. Some truths could only be found in shadows. Ghost was born for shadows. She pulled out phone, dialed Rodriguez. Ghost? Rodriguez, I need you to do something. Off the books. Name it. If I don't check in within 72 hours, there's a file in my apartment, hidden behind false panel and closet. Inside is everything. Hyde, Volkov, all of it. You take it to Richards. You burn the network down. Understand? Silence. Then, Sarah, what's going on? Insurance, I'll be fine. Where are you going? To find the truth. She hung up, grabbed keys, walked into California night. 3 days later, she'd be at the cabin, with her brother, learning secrets that would change everything. But tonight she was Sarah Coleman, daughter of murdered SEAL, sister to a ghost, going hunting. The ocean whispered behind her as she drove away. Stars were cold and distant. Somewhere in Wyoming, her brother waited, with answers, with truth, with the next chapter of a war that had cost her everything. Ghost never missed. But this time, she wasn't shooting, she was listening. And what she would hear would shatter her world. Because some wars never end. They just change battlefields. And Sarah Coleman, Lieutenant, SEAL, Ghost, was walking into the biggest battle of her life. One where the enemy wore the same uniform, where loyalty was a weapon, and where truth was the most dangerous thing of all. The California night settled over Coronado. In the distance, ocean whispered against shore. Somewhere in darkness, monsters waited, but so did Ghost. And Ghost never stopped hunting.